أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وأصلي وأسلم عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ثم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. My name is Ahmad Ansari and I'll be sharing with you few things about neighbors, which is my topic today. But before that, and from the bottom of my heart, I will congratulate each one of you with the arrival of Ramadan. Ramadan Mubarak to you, each one of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept your siyam, your qiyam, your act of fasting and ibadat. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this Ramadan the best of opportunity to initiate a change from within, so that when we come out of Ramadan, we will come out with a change in our attitude, in our behavior, and we may become the righteous personalities, as this is the goal and objective of Ramadan, to attain taqwa and righteousness. Islam is so wonderful, especially the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In his numerous teachings, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to live like community, a community that has care, concern for others. We feel happy when others are happy. We feel sad when others are sad. We care for others. And a lot of times when we see people sad and they have tears in their eyes, we have shu'ur. And Rasulullah said, build in you shu'ur and ihsas, that if you see someone hurt, you feel like getting hurt and come out to wipe tears and bring smiles on the face. Also, part of community building, he told us that always be careful to live with people. Care about your surroundings. This is totally against individualistic life, where a person is living for his own, working for his own. I just need anything and everything for myself. I have nothing to do with what's going on around me. So many of us, for one reason or the other, we see them today, they don't come to the masjid. They don't have any social contact. SubhanAllah, these masajid are very effective tools of social contact. And especially in Ramadan, the masajid is so full, looks so beautiful, that the masajid are full. And that's the social essence. And the purpose is, in addition to pray and listen to the Rawiyah, to get to know the people, so that we're connected towards each other. In Surah Al-Tawbah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something so profound. وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. The believing men and the believing women are considered protectors to each other. So we are each other's friends. If someone is in need and we know it, we just go there. That's why. Now, there are many segments of the society that we live in. We have our own relatives, our own friends, people that we know, people that we work with, our co-workers. That we go there 5 days a week, we know them. In addition to that, when we move from place to place and try to find a house, you know what a good, responsible Muslim family looks into? Few things first. They try to find a house which is closer to the masjid. That's number one. You ask everyone agrees on it. Next, they want to see what's a good school for their children. And if they find an Islamic school and an Islamic environment, mashallah. The third thing, a lot of families they look into is the good neighborhood. Is the good neighborhood. Because in order to live socially, you need to have good neighbors. Because you're not only required to be associated with those neighbors, and you show them through your conduct, through your behavior, I care for you. I'll share with you some hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ where he emphasized and re-emphasized rights of neighbors. And it's so amazing to know that if we have a next door neighbor, we need to make sure that he or she is happy with me to have me as their neighbor. To begin with, few facts about neighbor. Rasulullah ﷺ in a hadith, he said, Al-Jiran Salasa. Neighbors are of three types. Three types of neighbors. In terms of rights and privileges. He said, Jarun lahu haqq. He said, a kind of neighbor, he has only one right. Is your next door neighbor? He has one right. وَجَارٌ لَهُ حَقَّانِ. And a kind of neighbor, is your next door neighbor, has two rights over you. وَجَارٌ لَهُ ثَلَاثَةَ حُقُوقٍ. And a kind of neighbor, which is your next door neighbor, has three rights. So he said the first neighbor that has one right over you is your next door neighbor. He's a non-Muslim neighbor. So he's your neighbor, or he's a Muslim. He's a non-Muslim neighbor. See, Islam emphasizes kindness and courtesy and respect even to neighbors who don't even follow the same faith as you follow. So if he's a Christian, a Jewish, a Spanish, other faith neighbor, we as Muslims have to show them Islam cares for neighbors regardless of ethnicity, faith. If you are my neighbor, you will not get harm from me. I will protect you. I will be the best of the neighbor to you. That's the first neighbor. And the neighbor that has two rights is the neighbor that he is your next door neighbor and he is a Muslim neighbor. So we need to maintain cordial relationship because he shares my faith too. I am Muslim, he is Muslim too. So that's why good neighbors, they maintain sometimes a relationship that reaches to a level where they surpass the actual relative level. Some neighbors, they have so much relationship, you don't feel that they are not relatives. They're so friendly. Exchange of visits, instant coming, the exchange of gifts, people send things. So that's the second type of neighbor. And the third type of neighbor is, can anybody guess? The one who has city rights. Huh?
He's also a relative.
Who's your next door neighbor? That's one. Happens to be a Muslim neighbor. And third, he happens to be a relative. And that's more rights. Because sometimes our relatives have, they need our own attention. So that's it. Rasulullah ﷺ issued instructions for us to show extreme kind behavior to neighbors. And in his words, it's not right. It's not right for us to cause harm to our neighbors. So this is what he said. He said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir." See the wordings. See how he emphasized. He said, the one who believes in Allah and the last day, he has a strong conviction and yaqeen that I will die and I will be presenting myself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Allah will account my deeds and my actions. With this firm yaqeen, then he should do what? فَلَا يُؤْذِي جَارَهُ. Then he should not harm his neighbors. The neighbors had to live in peace with me. There is a small hadith, it is a rule. You know, in the schools you go to, in every school, subhanAllah, there is this rule. All the students are being taught this. Keep your hands, your tongue, and your feet and object to yourself. When I heard this before, I was trying to see from where this rule came. Until finally I read this hadith. So that's where I learned that this rule is hadith, is Rasulullah's rule. Rasulullah, what he said, Al-Muslim is so beautiful, so amazing. It's called when you have to develop concern for safety for you and for someone else. So this is what he said. Al-Muslimu man salima al-Muslimuna min lisanihi wa yadihi. Excellent Muslims are those from whose tongue, hands, and feet and or objects others are safe. It means from my tongue, verbal abuse, and from my hands, which is the tool of physical abuse, I'm not harming anybody. So I can hang around with people. Others feel comfortable being with me and they are safe. So that's why Rasulullah said, the first person qualified for this privilege is your next door neighbor. That's why he said, if you believe in Allah and the last day, then make sure that you do not cause any harm to your neighbors. In another hadith, he gave a more stern warning. The wordings that he used, this is what he said. Wallahi la yu'min, wallahi la yu'min, wallahi la yu'min. I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person is not a believer. I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person is not a believer. I swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that person is not a believer. So the Sahaba said, who ya Rasulullah? Man. Who ya Rasulullah? Who are you talking about? And you are swearing by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, that person is not a true believer. We would like to know who the person that you're talking about. قِيلَ مَنْ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. He was asked, who ya Rasulullah you're talking about? قَالَ الَّذِي لَا يَأْمَنْ جَارَهُ بَوَائِقُ. That the one whose neighbor is not feeling safe from his evil. Some people, they cause harm. They disturb. Like in some neighborhoods, we used to live in a neighborhood where after we left, subhanAllah, the manager told me that I looked at him and I found him like sad. When I told him I'm leaving, it was Afro-American neighborhood, and we were the only Muslim living there in that compound. But I realized that day that if you are kind, if you are nice to your neighbors, even though they don't follow your faith, they are not Muslims, they care for you, they respect you, and respect the way even we dress, and even when we talk. This is what he told me. He said, for like 2 years and a half, I didn't see no fights in your home. So they notice everything. And that's why in this country, if we focus, and I emphasize and re-emphasize, that this Ramadan, inshallah, our focus should be, is to change our conduct. Because conduct is the very strong tool of doing da'wah in this country. Because all these other communities living side by side in this country, they look at these Muslims, how they behave. And it's the conduct who encourages people to accept Islam more than the speeches. Our Rasul ﷺ went further up in terms of neighbors. He said, one time, Jibreel came to me. Jibreel came to Rasulullah ﷺ. And he said, Jibreel started advising and giving instructions to Rasulullah ﷺ in regards to neighbors. No one knew what Jibreel told Rasulullah ﷺ. No one knew. It's wahi. And subhanAllah, our Rasul ﷺ, about Rasulullah ﷺ, one fact that we should know, مَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He never speaks, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, out of whims or desires. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. All what he speaks means wahi. It means he's inspired. He's guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whenever he talks, he's guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, Jibreel one time came to me and started advising me about the rights of neighbor, and he said so much. He started talking to me so much and he told me so much until I thought about what? حَتَّى ظَنَنْتُ أَنَّهُ سَيُوَرِّسُ. Until I started thinking that perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, neighbors will share your rights and your property as well. So it means neighbors are very, very important that we need to be in mind. And you know, sometimes sharing foods, chocolates, some small gifts, token gifts to our next door neighbor, anything, any gesture, any behavior, including and not limited to simply courtesy visits, just hello and hi in this country, sends a message. Because there is a general perception that we're not, but subhanAllah, Muslims are not peaceful. And when we build a relationship with other communities through akhlaq, that sends another message. That Islam, we always say Islam means peace. So they say that Islam means peace, and peace is coming through conduct and behavior. So that's well good. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us those who are the best of neighbors to their neighbors, who are the best of people to other people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us change. First of all, on my behalf and on behalf of each one of you, I just would like to say a warm Jazakallah khair for Sheikh Nadi for this awesome and beautiful recitation. May Allah bless you, inshallah. It was so nice, so beautiful. Ramadan is the month of dua. Dua for everybody, dua for everything. Dua is ibadah. And dua is taught. And subhanAllah, sometimes we do dua only when we are in trouble. Dua, the best of dua is when a person invokes Allah at the time of ar-riqa, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps him in comfort, in good shape. Dua for every occasion. The first and most important dua is for dua for oneself. Dua for our iman. Dua for end on iman, for the life of the hereafter. Dua for our children. Dua for rizq. Dua for halal earning. Dua for sick people. Dua for the mashayikh. Dua for Sheikh Nadi and his hafiz. Dua for those who we know. Dua for those who we don't know. Dua for those far relatives. Dua for everyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He says, وَقَالَ رَبُّكُمُ ادْعُونِي, and your Lord says, call me. Servant, call me. As soon as the servant calls Allah, the response does not have a intercessor in between. Like in some other places, you have to reach Allah through someone, right? Here it's direct. He said, you call me, what I do? A study level. I'll respond. I'll come to your response. Rasulullah has prescribed dua for every occasion. So I'm going to share with you a small dua which is beautiful. It has 3 parts. You can repeat after me if you want. This dua, Rasulullah told 2 of his senior most companions, Muaz ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu and Abu Hurairah. He said, "Oh Muaz, I love you for the sake of Allah. After every fard salah, you repeat this short dua, very short. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik." Rasulullah mentioned 3 elements in this dua. He said, oh Allah, help me to do what? Number 1, help me to worship you in the best possible manner. Ya Allah, make my ibadah best. Tarawih, the Quran, the tahajjud, the nawafil, the khushu', Because why we have to ask Allah to help me in my prayer? Because in the salah itself, there comes a point where a person becomes very, very close to Allah. And that is sujood. أَقْرَبَ مَا يَكُونُ الْعَبْدُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ. The closest a person reaches to Allah at the time when he puts his honored part down to earth to humiliate. And that's closer. فَأَكْسِرُوا فِيهِ الدُّعَاء. And when you are in sujood, make lots of dua. Make lots of dua. 2. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika. I know Allah made me to thank you. Subhanallah. Shukr is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shukr is fard also. Shukr, give shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fard. To thank you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shukr is, there is a reward for shukr and there is punishment for ungrateful. And last but not least, وحسن اللهم أعني على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. To ذكرك, I forgot to mention, على ذكرك, to mention, to remember you. So that's dhikr and shukr, and to best of the worship, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it among those who are habitual of making dua every once in a while. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum.